And another night of going on there live with drama in golf. The Gators struggling now. They're up in the 1-1.1 match. they're tied in three. So this is going to be decided while we're on the air. We're going to go ahead with our business. We delayed our show tonight, started it late. Many of you are watching what's going on here, and there's an amazing night of golf, day of golf, and 3 days of golf. So Gators just a couple of holes in victory away from winning a national championship, which would be their fifth. Georgia Tech missed their putt. So, all right, let's go live. We've got Allie on standing by in the orange and blue room. We'll pick it up from there. And we'll try to follow it. Meanwhile, you can tell me what's going on. I'm trying to watch out of the corner of my eye, but I can't keep it up. It's really drama.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. It's late tonight. We got a late start. We're 15 minutes late starting. High drama on the golf course again. This is just keeps on happening and happening. Right now, I can't even tell you what's going on. I'll try to get folks here. Well, we're going to go to Allie in just a second. We're going to talk about a bunch of other things. But the hanging in balance is Florida has one match won. Coming back in the second one, it looked like they were dead in the water on their second match with Crest, the freshman. He's rallied after being two down at 17 and a miraculous shot by his opponent, Forrester, which he got lucky on. Then they're in the playoff right there, having extra holes. Then we've got three other matches out there. John Dubois, Biondi is struggling against Steelman. And then Rick Castillo is also struggling against Steelman. So we'll keep you up to date with that. And I know some of our loyal listeners and followers can also do that. Let's go to the orange and blue room right now and talk to our friend Allie. Allie Peak, it's another exciting night for Gator Golf. Wow. Good evening to you.
I mean, we can't just win things calmly, can we?
No,
It has to be
no.
high drama all the
High
time.
drama, yeah. I'm trying to watch out of the corner of my eye to see what's going on here because it's still, this national championship hangs in the balance. And it has been really dramatic. I don't know how much have you watched it. I've watched it all. I watched it all day long. You see a tee shot there. I'm not sure who this.
Been more following on social media, but
Yeah.
I try to do 10 other things at
Yeah.
at the same time. But 4 matches tied. Gators are up 1-0.
I think one of them they won, and I think maybe they be down in one, but I think there are three that might be tied. I'm not sure.
Well, Scott Carter just tweeted 29 seconds ago, Gators lead 1-0, 4 remaining matches tied.
1-0. Yeah, they
1-0.
won. They won the one match.
And then we have 4 remaining that are tied right
now. Well, they got one in the playoff right now, extra holes. And that match, I already had it written down as a loss. And that's their freshman, Cress, who was left for dead in the water. And if you were watching, I probably didn't see it, but Forrester from Tech had a shot at 16 that was so bad, it was great. He dropped his head when he hit it. The ball hit the flagstick and should have gone in the hole. Oh. And it was a 1 foot away, and he got a birdie and won that hole. And then the freshman Crest came back and won the next 2 holes to send in extra. So we're watching this putt right now as it goes on. So it's dramatic. We won't be able to see it all while we're doing the show. We waited 15 extra minutes to try to get some information, but let's see who this was putting. Is this Castillo? Oh, yeah, I believe it is. Can't tell. Let's see. He's got a putt of about 6 feet, and he is going to make it. Make it. All right, let's see. Who is that? Is that Casilla? Who is that? No, that's Beyonce, I believe. All right, put the scores up so we can see it. I can't see it. All right, center. How I ball got that? I can't tell. Somebody tell me what happened. So, all right. So we'll watch out of the corner of our eye. We'll announce it when we know something. How you doing, Allie?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing,
I'm
buddy?
doing okay. I'm a little hectic with all this going on. Trying to follow what's going on in recruiting news a little bit. What Billy Napier said up in Destin. I have a bite tonight, which we'll play, and you can talk about as well, where the program is, where it's going, what the goals are, etc. We'll talk about that. And then anything else you got on your plate, because, of course, Allie has that terrific podcast, A Peek at the Gators. You can catch it on YouTube 2 or 3 nights a week, and she has great stuff. And I know she does a lot of recruiting, which is excellent. I don't have a lot of recruiting information, but I rely on people like Allie who does. Okay, we're watching how they're going to say tied that home. All right, so Allie, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a spot. We'll come back, and then I'm going to play this Billy Napier bite from Destin and get your take on it, see what you think, and we'll go forward from there, okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so here's our sponsor tonight, Titan MRI.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much to Jeff Cardoza in the news. I don't know if you heard the story, but David Whitley wrote a really good column about Ironwood Golf Course up in Gainesville, which is the public golf course.
Right.
There's only 3, I think, in the whole city. And for years and years, Cardoza has worked out there and done a terrific job of building the business up. And now there's a political dispute. And the city commission, I think they call it, they now look like they're going to try. They're looking at selling it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, selling it. Cardoza would not have, Cardoza would have a job, but a lot of people who play golf would have a place to play golf,
Sure, yeah.
And as he wrote, I didn't know this. He said Gainesville has, I think he said 3 golf courses, and Marion County's got 40 here. And so I don't know. So we have a lot more retired people here. So that's good job. That's the thing about newspapers, is that you need them around to watch it all, right?
That's
so, So we're going to play this bite. Let's say good evening to our friends here who checked in, who are watching the golf tournament as well, keeping us. Michael Burton, Terry Johnson, Frank Almeida, Terry Johnson, David Baldoff, Tommy Gunn Seal, and let's see, who else? Yeah, that's all of them. All right, so they're all fans of yours, Allie. They love what you do, so I'd love to see you come on here. Let's do this. Let's hear from Billy, what he had to say. And it's a pretty good interview. It's part of the interview Feinbaum did. And he sort of gave you the State of the Union here. So see what you say about this.
Well, I think the combination of NIL and portal paired with the pace and lifestyle in recruiting, I think that there's frustration in the profession, to some degree, about the things that we're dealing with from a competitive standpoint, right? We've got issues when it comes to NIL relative to employee law, antitrust law, differences in state law, right? And I think that when you pair the NIL issues that we have with the transfer portal, I don't know that I think there's a ton of frustration that comes from that. Given where we've come from, right? I think we all know this game at its best, and I think what's going on right now is there's some good that's come from it, but I think there's a lot of unintended consequences.
And you have to navigate on the fly because there's so many aspects of it. You hear coaches talk about the money and all the things that happen. But whether you like it or not, you have to deal with it. Is that a big part of what you do and what all coaches do?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's about keeping perspective, right? Going back to purpose. Why did you get into coaching?
Mm-hmm.
What do you enjoy about coaching, right? And that's the relationship with the players, the people aspect. We love the competition. We love the strategy. But ultimately got into the game to impact young people and to be a part of a team, right? I can't remember the last time I wasn't a part of a team. So NIL is another variable, right? It's part of your experience for the player, right? And I think at the University of Florida, we spent the last 10 months or so working hard on that strategy, that part of our system. We've completely rebuilt the player experience at Florida, and we're in a lot better place, right? So, wake up each day, remember what your purpose is, try to keep perspective, and what the game of football can be about, what it should be about, and ultimately I think we're doing that.
Sorry about that, folks. We're cut off watching the golf. Had to go in the other room here. Gator's making a move. Dubois. Looks like he has a chance to win the hole. They could close this thing out, and it's amazing what they're doing. I'd take a look quick. Sorry, I left you there. So you heard Billy. I'd heard the bite before. Give me your thoughts.
So, I think that NIL and the transfer portal happening at the same time made things 10 times more complicated than if they would have happened independently of each other.
Right.
I think that they both have made college football much more transactional than it's ever been before.
Good word. It's a good word, transactional,
And I also think that each university plays by whatever set of rules they're comfortable playing by. And I think that even before NIL and before the transfer portal, I think that Florida always chose to play on the up and up. That was something that, Jeremy Foley took incredibly seriously. I think that that's something that Scott Strickland takes incredibly seriously. And I'm very conflicted on that. As an alumni of the University of Florida, as somebody that loves the university, it makes me incredibly happy that we choose the high road, that we choose to follow the rules.
Right.
However, I've also listened to people that were on our staff, in the past, people that Eric and I know through his football relationships, kind of lament at how much harder it makes it for them to do their jobs because Florida is so strict and set on following the rules. Prior to NIL, we would have coaches tell us, so-and-so recruit comes on campus and they say, well, Georgia's paying us this much, Alabama's paying us this much. How much are you going to pay us?
Yeah.
And Florida would always say, that's not what we do here. And I know that it has cost Florida recruits in the past. I think doing things on the up and up now in this NIL and transfer portal world has probably cost Florida recruits and transfer players. But I do think staying the course and following the rules in the long run will eventually benefit Florida. But it's the Wild West out there. And it's hard to look a coach in the eye and tell him it's a fair playing field when it's not. He works for a university that follows the rules. Lots of coaches through universities that don't. I think it makes it hard. And I do agree with him that, this isn't why he got into coaching. He cares about developing players.
Sure.
He cares about developing men. And he cares about being a part of the team. And when you don't know whether or not these people will be here one season to the next, it makes it hard. And I know from an alumni perspective, I'm sure you feel this way. Like there's part of it that drives me nuts to think like, you won't be at a 20-year reunion. From now you won't be on your fourth school. Like there is the loyalty doesn't seem to be there.
No,
like
that's a big thing. You're right. That is a big thing. And it's something I wish, one of the things, that's one of the things that I talk to about people all the time about is that they feel like there's no loyalty anymore. And even though you did time and you were there, you were a Gator. And I thought about this the other day, and I hate to be critical of people, but in this transient world we live in, but I said again the other day, the fact that the former wide receiver coach went to, who came from USC and is left now and gone, never met Steve Spurrier. I mean, when you think you can walk down the hall and shake his hand and say, Coach,
yes,
I admired your work, even if he didn't necessarily love him. I mean, how often do you have a chance to be around someone like that who has a massive knowledge,
also,
right?
We're working in his program.
Yeah.
That field was built on his blood, sweat, and tears. And there is such a large part of college athletics, at least I think for those of us that have been lifelong fans, that loyalty plays such a part in it. And it is hard to think that like you're wearing this university's colors, you are getting paid to do it now at this point, but you're not going to step foot on campus once you leave, because this is just a means to an end for you, as opposed to the key to the rest of your life, which I think is how the rest of us view it.
It's kind of like mercenaries in the Army. You hired killers, whatever. But it's not what we want to see. But I mean, it is what it is. I even heard Saban say today, I heard what he said a couple of days ago, that maybe it's time to unionize, hire all the players as employees, and then everybody has to regulate the money and do go by the rules.
Yeah.
Part of me says, boy, I sure hate to see that happen, because now it does become work and a job. And I guess we've been hypocritical about it enough over these years of denying it. And the fact is that that is what it is. But does it bother you at all to think about that? Well, okay, these guys are all got union cards. And there's some reasons to do it. I mean, look, Carlos Alvarez back in 1970 wanted to start some kind of collective with players to protect him and their rights, and also to help minorities. He had a good cause in mind, but I don't know. It didn't go down well.
I just think there's got to be something between what we have now and what we had, like, let's say when Eric played 20 years ago. I think that the root of this NIL stuff was so that players could benefit.
Hang on, Dubois one up. So there's two wins for the Gators. Only need one more.
That's
one more.
Amazing.
Dubois, I counted him as out. So now Florida has it's up 2-0, and 2 matches are tied. So, whoa, how about that? Goodness gracious. I didn't see this coming, did you?
No, and I don't follow golf that closely.
But you do now. You do now. Yeah. I mean, you love these stories. And by the way, not to change the subject, but I'm changing the subject. I had a conversation today on texting with Jeremy Foley. Mm-hmm. He hired J.C. Deacon. Yes. And it was a controversial hire because they fired Buddy Alexander, who was pretty popular with a lot of people. And there are still some alumni key people who are mad at Jeremy. So I texted him just the heck of it to see, I made a comment. Well, he probably didn't want me to say this, but the fact is, I said, Jeremy, so you went all the way out to UNLV to get a guy who was Canadian and brought him here to be the golf coach, right? That's a traditional place to get golf coaches, right? And he laughed about it, And I asked him, I said, what qualities did he have that that you like? And he said, well, among them are hardworking. He was a hardworking guy, and he says we all felt pretty certain he was going to be successful. And he's making us proud right now. So Jeremy's pretty happy. That's one that a few golfing alumni are not happy that he fired Buddy Alexander. But he's looking good now because they're about to win their fifth national championship in golf. That's amazing.
It is amazing. Speaking of loyal Gators, there is no one more loyal than Jeremy Foley.
Yeah, he is. But you know what? In that position, he's had to make some tough choices.
Absolutely.
Anytime you make it's like someone said, a politician friends of mine said, look, 50% of the people don't like me, all the time. Yeah. That's just how it is in that life, and you got to make those choices. And they're looking for a ball. I can't tell whose. It looks like it might be a Gator because, so he got a drop. Okay, I can't tell who that is right there. Somebody tell me. Some of our people tell me what's going on there, folks. You're right. Terry, who said that Shane talked to JC about it. Let's see a couple comments here real quick. Let's see. I just wanted to see Sully win the College World Series. That would be nice.
That would
Big
be
week.
wonderful.
We didn't expect this week to be talking about golf. We thought it'd be
Right.
about baseball.
Right.
After all,
A
the
lot of
regional
baseball, a lot of
starts
recruiting.
this week, and they got Florida A&M in a pretty tough bracket. Are you talking much? I talked to some people today. I have somebody in my company that says to me, people don't care about baseball. They want to know about recruiting. I don't know. Well, no, they don't care. So I asked a handful of people that I knew, do you care about baseball or golf? They said, hell yeah, we love the golf story and we do care about baseball and we can live without recruiting. But we know man cannot live by recruiting alone, but it's an important topic and it is this month. And you're going to tell us why. And I read this stat from our guy, Matt Quarteroro, yesterday in our story. I didn't know this, and I'm going to double check the facts. I think he said Florida only gets 56 official visits a year, right? And they're using up 40, I think he said 42 of them this month in June. So what's that all about?
So we'll have to check the stats on that because I thought it was specific to the individual, the number of recruiting trips
But it's a total number apparently that you have to stay in.
Interesting. Well, I will fact check that as well. But this weekend is massive for the University of Florida. They have so many big name guys coming on campus. They have several guys that are committed elsewhere. One of which being a guy named Dalen Evans. He's coming from Texas A&M. DJ Lagway is flying in for this. He's in Nashville currently for an NIL summit that's going on. He's going from Nashville to Gainesville to help recruit for Florida. And when we talk about transactional things that go on in college football, DJ Lagway is kind of the bright shining star that flies.
He's a recruiting machine himself.
And it seems like he really cares about the University of Florida. And I feel like that is a difficult to find in recruiting at the moment, is somebody that's really, really loyal to a university, to a school. He cares about Florida. He's recruiting these players hard. He's probably the best recruiter Florida has. Yeah. I think you consider the weekend a success if you get one or two commits. I think that there's a possibility that a flip or two happens. I honestly think we should be looking for Dalen Evans to flip and commit to Florida, potentially this weekend. Chris Jones is another guy that people are talking about. He's a linebacker out of Virginia. He's the number one player in the state. Georgia is after him hard. He has a visit scheduled for Georgia, I believe, next weekend. But I heard he's going to commit to Florida this week. So if that happens and the official visit to Georgia doesn't happen next week, that's a huge coup for Billy Napier. The number of players he's got coming in, the number of 5-star guys he's got coming in. This is probably the biggest recruiting weekend that Florida has had, honestly, probably since the Urban Meyer years. I
heard you say that on your podcast. It's a big one, and Matt said the same thing.
It is. It's a big one. And this is going to be, the proof's going to be in the pudding, though. Getting the guys to campus is step one, and that's important. But now you've got to walk away with some of them. There are some big guys that Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Miami, Florida State want these players. So Florida can get a commitment from them heading into the season. That's huge. So we'll see what Napier and his army pull off this weekend. But I expect some fireworks. I expect a couple commitments. Biggest recruiting weekend of the summer.
Yeah. Ricky Castillo just went up at 17. Chance to close out at 18 against Steelman. That would give him the national championship. So if he can do that, I think that's correct. They're up 2. Florida's up 2-0, right?
Right.
David Moulton will know. He's watching the match, standing by in the green room, orange and blue room. Once again, Allie, tell folks how they can see your podcasts.
On YouTube, it's called A Peek Inside Florida Gator Football. You can check me out there. If you subscribe to it, you'll then get notifications about the new videos as they post, which is nice. And we'll have lots of stories coming up the end of this week about the visitors that are coming into town. If a commitment happens, I'll put a video out about it, and then we'll recap. We're hoping to get on a special guest next week to do some recap, somebody that will be there this weekend. So we'll see if that actually happens or not. But
All right, Allie, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to grab Graham Hall for a minute, and then we got David standing by. So I'm even going to forego a commercial. Thank you so much, Allie. Great stuff as always. Okay,
Thanks,
Allie
buddy.
Peak Wilbur, she does a great job. Good to have you on. Thank you. All right, let's go right to the orange and blue room real quick and check in with this guy. He's not Ollie Peak Wilbur. He is Graham Hall from 447 Sports, and we're running late, as you know. You watching the golf? Graham, are you watching golf?
I am. I just walked out of the room to watch.
Yeah,
talk to
okay.
You. Yeah, definitely.
Cress is tied here on the playoff hole. I'm trying to follow it. Let me get David up at the same time as he's there. Well, no, he's not there. I was going to say, what another great comeback. This bunch of kids are amazing. They just keep day after day making these comeback. I thought Cress was dead in the water. He was 2 down at 17. And did you see that lucky shot that the guy from Tech made, Bartlett Forrester? Who, when he hit the flat stick and the ball should have gone in the hole, although when he hit it, he was holding his hand like, oh no. And he hits it 1 foot from the hole and makes the putt, wins the hole. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, and then Cress puts it, 6 feet from the pin?
Yeah.
On the very next hole.
Yeah.
Now headed to their 3rd playoff hole.
Yeah, Forrester right there right now. They're looking, he's their 3rd playoff hole. So are the matches 2-0 now? Is that what they are?
Florida's up 1.
Okay. All
when
right,
I walked out of the room about 6 minutes ago,
so
Florida's up 1, and the other 3 are tied.
Ricky Castillo got 1 up going into 18, according to what I saw. That's
Okay. I saw him miss that putt, which was very unfortunate.
And he did, but I think it's hard to follow while I'm doing this. But
right as I walked out of the room, some people know more than me. It looks like Vander, you're following a little bit more than me right now when I walked out of the room. But Steelman and Cress both hit some bad tee shots.
Yeah.
That made me kind of a little bit worried. But we'll see how they recover. They've done a really good job recovering. If Florida could have made some of those putts, though, I'm a little bit pessimistic because they should have had a better shot right now than they do have. But
they've been playing as they've been closing the last hole. They win everything on the last. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing to close out.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Brought up
go ahead.
How they've seemed down several times. As many chances as they've missed, they have capitalized on some Georgia Tech misses as well, which has been massive. And I like to say there's a little bit more parity right now when you get out to some of these courses when you're at a collegiate level, and that makes it a little more exciting to watch when you're watching match play golf, and there is this amount of parity, variance in the talent, and guys are not just playing for money. They are playing for an opportunity. We get so caught up in I think the politics behind PGA and live golf now, and seeing guys that argument about NBA players that are not playing defense. What are PGA players defending really outside their placing? The top guys can afford to blow a few holes, miss a few cuts, and not really be in danger right now.
Here's a shot. Here's a putt right here. I think to tie the hole for bogey. I believe this is Cress. I can't tell. Well, I can't my TV looking over here. Let's just watch, see what happens. Hopefully they'll put it on the screen. 19th hole. Let's see. There's the putt, and he misses it. So that looks like a steal, but I can't tell. So I'm marking the putt, so obviously doesn't got to give me. All right, so give me your take real fast on a night we got a lot going on this week's June on this recruiting situation. I read some of your pieces. You seem to think that there's been a lot of movement and that Coach Napier is going to make a few scores here. They used up a lot of their official visits at one time. Give me your take on that real fast. I'll let you get out of here and watch the golf.
Well, let me preface this by saying that we still need to find out if the amount of official visits that Florida can have this season is the same number that they had last year. It expanded last year. Yeah. And the recent NCAA rule change that some people may have been reading about unlimited official visits after July for prospects in this class, that's going to change some things. So when we talk about Florida maybe running out of numbers right now, that is not something that may be a guarantee in not even 6 weeks, right? So I'm kind of not really. Let's not talk about that too much. This is a big target weekend for Florida's guys.
Yeah.
This is a big weekend for guys who are not committed. I'm talking Jeremiah Smith, Dalen Evans, Chris Jones, LJ McCray from Mainland, who I had a chance to go down and see twice in spring. Luckily, not too far of a drive, and a really good coaching staff, I got to say, as well. And if Florida can even get one of these guys in this class, and it's not even just about the official visits, the amount of 2025 guys that they're going to have on campus between tomorrow, Thursday, and Monday of next week is just as important, if not more important, because in today's day and age where the legislation may change, is going to change in July, and players can take 7, 8, 9 official visits if they want, getting the first crack at someone right now is not as valuable as it was last year due to the lack of a limit. So Florida really has to, I think, impress some guys if they are going to get any commitments out of this weekend. I say that to make it so that people don't think the sky is falling if Florida comes out of this without any commitments, because this is the time where more than ever you're not going to really see that so much. Players are going to go until the end of the cycle because they can even take a second official visit if there is a coaching change after this year. So with all that said, it's
still confusing. It's big weekend.
I know, so confusing. You have to do so much reading. I joke with people all the time who ask me, hey, what work did you do today? I said, well, I read for 3 hours and then I read a couple stories. You have to continuously read what other people are writing.
Constantly.
Where this is at, or else you're going
to chase all of it all the time.
Left behind. I started the day today by being on Shane's show, and now I'm ending the day by being on your show.
How about that?
I'm lucky, man. I say this all the time. I'm lucky, but a lot of the day is spent reading and staying in tune with some stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's because if you aren't following these recruiting rules, you'll be left behind. But when you know things, and you know where the game is going, and you know if this is a critical weekend or not, it's not worth stressing if Florida misses out on some guys, because the rules have been never more favorable to give you multiple chances.
And there's always golf right now going on at the same time.
Yeah,
so
I know, right?
Listen, you do a great job.
Won the last championship in golf, so this is.
There you go. Well,
it
there you
would
go.
mean a lot, absolutely, to watch this.
It goes back a long way. I'm going to talk tomorrow to Steve Malik about it in the back when he started winning national, even back in the. Listen, I appreciate you being on. Thanks a lot. We'll have a little more time next time. Appreciate it. Graham Hall, 247 Sports, does one of the best jobs of anybody. Thank you, buddy. Let's go skip the spots and go to the dean, as he can tell us what's going on, because I don't know what's going on. And David Moulton probably can. All right, David, is it 2-1? Is that what it is?
It is. Forrester for Georgia Tech won on the second playoff hole, but Florida has a 1-up lead in the 2 remaining matches, and those matches are on the 18th hole.
Yeah.
So Florida needs 1/2.
Yeah.
From
Castillo,
one of their 2 golfers.
Castillo's,
Biondi is hitting his approach shot into 18 right now, and his opponent has a fried egg in a greenside bunker.
Wow.
And Biondi just put it on the green about 25 feet for birdie.
Wow.
So barring a Georgia Tech miracle, Florida is about to win the national championship.
How about that? Who saw that coming? And what a week this has been for Florida golf. I've had more people interested in Gator golf than anybody in any time in the history. And the comeback stories are like every day has been like 18, 17 overtime.
Certainly the comeback against Florida State will be talked about
forever.
Sure.
It didn't get any sweeter than that. And it looked like it was lost. They were down 0-2 to start with. And now you got your 2 best players out there now. If you don't come up with one,
Biondi's got 25 feet for birdie,
and Castillo,
and he's 1 up, and his opponent has a fried egg in a greenside bunker, in which the ball's going to run away from him towards the water.
Right.
He would do well to get up and down So, Biondi with a two-putt, barring a miracle bunker shot, a two-putt from 25 feet would secure the national championship. And who knows? It may not be a pressure two-putt either, depending on the bunker shot.
And this is a guy who just won the national individual championship.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to play in the Masters next year. How about
well,
that?
If he doesn't go pro, I think
he'd probably be worth waiting for that. We'll see. We'll see. But he's what a finish. Yesterday, J.C. Deacon said, "I can't think of a better person to lead the program in the hands of than Ricky Castillo. It's been a phenomenal player. So Castillo now and Biondi.
Biondi's on the green,
right?
Okay, Castillo's on the tee.
Yeah.
Okay, so this thing could end here in the next 5 minutes.
David, have you been following it closely, and are people on your show talking about it at all?
No.
It's funny.
No.
I guess it's more of a Gator thing, but I know. Gosh, I couldn't even get Shane on the show on Monday night. He was busy watching the golf. He was glued to it, and I've heard people say they were transfixed on this. I've never heard people use that name for Gator golf. We barely know it's been around for years, right? And
let's be honest. When the football and men's basketball teams are underperforming, and you're a proud fan, you start grabbing onto every damn thing you can.
Of course you can. And
you grab onto the baseball team as hard as you ever have before. You grab onto the gymnastics team. You grab onto the golf program.
Track and field's not bad to women, especially, so. But this golf has been. There's a shot out of the bunker here, the fried egg. Let's see what happens here. This is this Hiroshi? I think it is. Where did it go? He had a hell of a shot.
He actually did. He hit it to about 8 feet. He'll have to make that for par to force a two-putt from Biondi.
Yeah. So this is like David Moulton, who's called live events everywhere. Having him on the play-by-play is kind of special. So how about that?
A lot of golf in my past.
As well as other things, David. But golf is, mine too, by the way. I spent 15 years working in it. And my listeners tell me, well, it's too boring. I don't want to talk about it. But how can you not when something like this is going on? All right, so David, while we're waiting, see what's going to happen here. A little baseball, maybe. Rays today finally beat the Cubs. 3 well-pitched games, and they lost 1-run games, 1-0, 2-1, and now today they got a home run from Siri, and they won the game 4-3. So,
and they got out of a jam of their own making in the bottom of the ninth. Cubs had bases loaded, 1 out, and Rays got out of it to get the much-needed win. They had lost 4 in a row on the road.
Yeah.
So much-needed win. I know everybody's saying, "Oh, it's too early." I think they need to make a deal or two for some relievers. That bullpen's getting.
Well, they'd like to. I think they keep getting injuries. And the guys keep getting hurt.
But that's why they need to make a trade.
Well, they aren't going to give up good relievers. That they're hard to come by. So,
but you don't. That's what you have a minor league system for. I just think that they need. They've overworked their bullpen in May more so than any other team in baseball.
They'll probably catch them up to them in September. I know. Yeah, you're right.
So I would just, to me, it's going to be a very hard division to win. Orioles, Yankees.
There you go. They won it. They won it.
Yep.
They won it. How about them Gators? Let's give them a little hand right here. Stand by.
Great week.
That's wonderful. Gators are national champions in golf. Who would have thunk it, David? We'll take a beat here and watch this real fast. Everybody else is doing the same thing right now. Yeah, there it is. And there he is. There's Castillo right there. And they're embracing. Is that Dudley Hart? I don't know. Nice. Good story. Really good story.
Yeah. He cozied it up to about 6 inches, and so it was conceded, and there you go.
Yeah, well, that's a nice win for them. a program that's needed a little juice, and this is in sports. That's nice. All right, congratulations, J.C. Deacon, and to the whole team, and Lynn and Dubois,
Well, and we'll see if in a couple of weeks if the baseball team can't return the favor.
Yes, that would be nice, wouldn't it, too? And the track team.
They got the pitching to do it.
They do if they get Caglione straightened out. He had a bad outing, and a lot of he's part. Here's his blame for the bad throw he made at third base, and they beat the team that they beat 4 times. I mean, really, come on, man. But they got the firepower. They got the bats. They got a team, and they're good. They got to stop. They were making plays. Rivera booted one at shortstop. You never see that. They were dropping fly balls and booting.
Well, it doesn't matter. With all due respect, they've got a very doable regional. I mean, they got the number 2 overall seed. I mean, buddy, if they had won the SEC, they still would have gotten the number 2 overall seed. Mm. So, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 first-round picks on the bump, and they can win it as well as anybody, quite frankly.
Sure, they sure can, without doubt. So I've listened to a couple things that Billy said in Destin, looking for an indication and thought, and I heard an interview, which we play on this show here, about how he realizes that this is not acceptable, and he feels pretty good. He's making progress in the direction he wants to go, but he knows that their record's got to show better on the field. And he says it will be taken care of. We'll see. So we'll see. So it's good news. Anyway, David, final thoughts today in sports. Final thoughts on Gators and golf. Final thoughts on the Rays. Final thoughts on your program tomorrow morning. What you'll be doing, David and Miller and Moulton. If you haven't heard it, tune it in. Go ahead.
Just to get back to the whole this week at Destin.
Yeah.
There aren't many times anymore in which I feel that the fans can be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think this is the week to be heard. I mean, get your voice heard as to what it is you want the schedule to be. I mean, I can't believe that SEC fans are going to just accept these coaches chickening out and going with the 8-game schedule going forward, even for a couple years. I mean, how the hell are you going to feel, Florida fan, if you don't play Tennessee in the next, in 24 and 25? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's ridiculous. It just is. It's ridiculous. I mean, never mind all the other rivalries that could for a year or two, not happen. I mean, the fact that Auburn, Georgia could not be played in 24 or 25 is an absolute disgrace. And for Kirby saying that this is a topic that's much ado about nothing, I'll tell you what, it's a good thing he wins, because he's an arrogant ass sometimes. He really is. All right. And for Nick and all the things that he's complaining about, and NIL and this, that, and, it's going to be more of a chasm than ever before. Oh, for goodness sakes, Nick. I mean, the top 10 in the AP is damn near the same now as it was in the 70s. I mean, the same programs have dominated for the most part for 70 years. I mean, come on, Nick. I mean, just vote for the damn 9-game schedule. And what's your problem? You play Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee every year. Now you're saying it's too hard? You've lost to Tennessee once since you've been there. Don't tell me this schedule's too hard. I mean, please. I mean, the fact that Alabama, Tennessee may not happen. The fact that Texas is going to join the conference, and Texas A&M aren't going to play. Arkansas and A&M aren't going to play, potentially. I mean, come on, this is an utter disgrace. It just is. Sankey's right on this, and the coaches are chicken blank. They really are. And this is where I think the fans, you need to stand up, because your schedule could look like crap if these chicken blank coaches get their way. All right.
So you're definitely in favor of the 9-game schedule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, it works perfectly. It does. I mean, you get to see every team in your stadium once every 4 years minimum. I mean, buddy, can we start rattling off the teams that Gator fans haven't seen in the Swamp and how long it's been? I mean, buddy, LSU has not been to Athens since 2013. Texas A&M has not hosted Georgia yet. They've been in the conference since 2012. They've yet to host Georgia. They've only played them once. I mean, come on. I mean, we got to get this so that the teams play each other. If you're the biggest, baddest conference in the world, act like it.
Amen.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I like it. And by the way, I heard a guy, and I put this in a tweet. Some guy called in from Texas and talked to Feinbaum. I haven't heard Feinbaum much the last couple of weeks or months. He said, so Paul, he's a Texas fan, when you moving your show to Austin? And I thought it was a joke at first. Then I realized he was serious, and I said, and so I wrote, I mean, keep in mind, this still is the Southeastern Conference, not the Southwest Conference. This isn't, Florida, I mean, Texas is not taking over the SEC. Texas is moving into the SEC, and so that kind of stuff ain't going to fly around here anymore with the Georgias and the LSUs and Alabamas of the world. So you know how everything's bigger in Texas. So we're going to hear that BS now starting next year from a lot of people, especially the ones out in Texas. And I had a friend of mine who wrote me and kidded me about it, whatever. And I said, hey, look, I mean, I like Texas, but the idea that they invented football and that Austin's the center of the football universe ain't exactly accurate, So anyway, here we go.
This way, I don't think we should be kowtowing to Oklahoma and Texas till they at least get to vote on something. I mean, they're not even going to be allowed to vote on something until July of 2024.
Yeah. Well, apparently they think Texas rules already in Oklahoma. I mean, I think it's going to be great, I guess. Although
it'll be fun. The schedule, especially if they adopt the 9-game schedule, the schedule will be sexy. It'll be entertaining. It will be enjoyable.
Well, Nick doesn't want to play that because they won't have to play those teams like that. He figures he's going to get enough of Oklahoma, and of course you're right. A&M is already saying if we're going to have this Texas A&M Texas game again, the first game is going to be in that at the 12th man out here where we live, College Station. So vying for position, jockeying for position, that's what we're about. Anyway, it's fun. I'm not to a point where I can say I'm really ready for football to start tomorrow, but I'm getting close. How about you, David?
Well, what are we at? As of tomorrow?
Tomorrow is June 1st.
Right, but it'll be 91 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it'll be 91 days till Florida travels to Utah. So it'll be 13 weeks tomorrow, I believe, when the season kicks off for the Gators.
Mm-hmm. Do you
With
think
what? Just there? Isn't this their second, or isn't this their first Power 5 road game in like 30 years?
Florida's?
Yeah, I thought I read something where they have not played a major program, a true road game against a major program.
What was Tennessee?
That's not an SEC team. That's
not an SEC. Oh, yeah. Well, no, they never played.
I thought I read it was 91 the last time that the Gators played someone like Utah on the road. So
that's a great question.
And that in and of itself, I mean, remember how exciting the opener was last year? Okay, and yeah, Florida won it at the end, but just the thought of the game, a top 10 team coming into the Swamp, the place was jumping. It was a very entertaining, people were excited just for the prospect of the game. That's what these schools need to deliver for us. You need to give us meat on the bone. Schedule real teams.
I agree, but you know the reason. And it's not, buddy? It's money. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you why. And the other thing is the dirty little secret is they get paid so much more money for playing a neutral site to open the season when they don't have to give away student tickets. When they get to go to play Miami and Orlando, they make $1 gazillion out of that game. Somebody from the athletic department told me that little secret. Those are huge money games.
That's fine. At least they play Miami. That's a real
Well,
game.
but
Fans
not at home. They're going to pay on the road.
But buddy, that's okay. Fans want to see real games.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. Give us games.
I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir, man. I hate those nothing games. Those little cupcake games. I think it's just it hurts the integrity of college football. They call them as W's. I mean, whatever. I don't think they should count as a full win. Whatever. I thought the playoff system might account for that, but apparently it's not. It's not really penal when you play what we used to call Division II teams. I think they have no place in playing in the Power Five. None. Period.
And you were wondering what it is we're going to talk about on the show tomorrow. I mean, I will say NBA Finals. Between the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals, we do have a couple of Florida teams in it. I don't know if that's got anybody's attention, at least in Gainesville and Ocala. But I will say this Heat story is pretty remarkable.
It is, and so is the Denver Nuggets story, although it's not in Florida. And what an amazing thing they've done in Denver. And I have a little stake in that. I covered it for 8 years.
Sure, I know.
And I kind of pulled them for them. And I'll tell you, the Heat were amazing. They teed it up in Boston Garden. And will you stop calling the Garden in Boston, please? There's only one the Garden. All right, ain't Boston.
They tore the Garden down.
Yeah, right. And it was never the Garden anyway. It was Boston Garden. Difference in Madison Square Garden. The Garden is Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry.
I agree with you.
They don't like that. But anyway.
That's kind of like when they refer to it as the city. I know the folks in San Francisco think their city is the city. Most people in the United States think the city is New York.
But you lived up there. You know what it is. And when you live in New York, you call it the city. We're going to the city. That's what they do. I mean, it's, The other thing is I hate they just give these stadiums nicknames. The Big Can or whatever they call it. They don't call it by the real name,
anyway. Would you rather call it the Swamp, or would you rather?
I'd rather call it. I really call it Steve Spurrier Field, so I like to call it, and not Ben Hill Griffin. Nobody calls it that. You call it the Griff, for crying out loud. I mean, come on. But I guess that's where they get the money from. So anyway, David Darnow says the Garden had Adam and Eve. Okay, it's okay.
There you go. Well, that's old school right there.
There you go. Right. That's right. That's exactly right. That's right. David Arnold says he also wants Vandy. He wants to see him play Vandy. They're getting mad about playing the Vandy. So, and Terry Johnson says, I want Ball State. Oh boy, here we go.
Well, it's been a rough few years. I can understand why they're looking for a few W's.
It is. But I'm just going to give them one more big hoorah for winning the national championship in the fashion they did. It has been a remarkable couple of days in golf. So, there you go. There you go, David. That's for you, buddy. Always brings it.
I was going to say that you brought everything to the table.
I did. Let it all. And this is for you going out, David. Thank you, buddy. Always great stuff. The great David Moulton, man. Thank you very much for being on. Good stuff as always.
Have a good
Sorry
night,
about being delayed, keeping you up so late. All right. So let's get this going. I want to be sure and tell folks I put this commercial aside because, well, we had stuff to talk about. So we did that, and we're going to do this.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, thanks very much to the folks at Meldon Law, all of our sponsors. I know they're happy over there tonight about their Gators winning another national championship. It's a good night, been a good week all the way around. So thank you for your participation in the show. Let's go ahead and put Frank Almeda's big words up here again, and we'll do this. I don't have the We're the Boys. I'd play it. Let's go ahead and put that up there for the night. For Frank Almeda's words, okay? Yeah. All right, so folks, I want to remind you about my friends at Renstar Medical Research, who do so much for our community, and who, among other things, they supported this program for a long time, and we do appreciate that very much. And they have a first-class, patient-centered clinical research facility right here in Ocala. It's right here in Ocala, and they do lots of clinical trials there. And that information is used and processed to help us find better solutions for our health. And I think it's really cool that we get to have some of our DNA involved in these. And again, as I say, Renstar Medical Research, we're doing this for a long time. And here's the deal. You can log on to renstar.net and find out if you qualify, and you can take part in these clinical research trials, and you could be compensated possibly for time and travel, and you may or may not get qualified, but if you do, you go and you take part in it. They can use your data and information as they go, they send to prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies. So we've got our DNA in that here. They want to know what we can do to help our health here. So Renstar brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala, things like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, dementia, along with many other conditions that affect our community. Renstar.net, check it out. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Once again, congratulations. The Florida Gators are the national champions in golf. They have the individual championship. And like David said, it's been a good week. It's been a good day. And I hope your day was as good as mine. Appreciate your patience and your time tonight, folks. Have a good night. We'll be back tomorrow night with our friends on Orange and Blue Thursday with Ben and the crew and friends and Lauren and the whole gang. So have a good night, folks. Thank you.